question before, so take the answer I gave you last time. I don't remember giving you the question either.
So that could have gone a little bit better. Joe, we've been asking it since the Super Bowl.
I thought that was fine.
I mean, we know that Todd Gurley's role in this offense is changing. He hasn't rushed for 100 yards yet. He was close week 1 with 97 rushing yards. But why is it like this? What's going on with Todd Gurley?
Well, I'm not a doctor, but I just play one on TV. But from what I see with my eyes and what I hear swirling around the Rams is that Todd Gurley has a pretty serious case of arthritis in his knee. It's really affecting him. And when I was dealing with this towards the end of my career, my knee is actually what caused me to retire. I noticed that it reduces your quickness, it reduces your explosiveness, it reduces your speed because of the pain that you have, the swelling that you have in your knee on a daily basis. It's really difficult. It's bone pain. It's not like, oh, I got a bruise on my arm. Not that type of pain. Every step that Todd Gurley takes is likely hurting that knee. And so they're trying to manage him as well as they can throughout the season because they know that he's only got a certain number of plays and carries in him, and they don't want to blow him out at the beginning of the season. They want to save enough of those carries for hopefully a big playoff run. That's why we hear the comments from him. That's why he gets so frustrated playing in these short weeks, because it takes a long time to get that knee healthy enough to play on Sunday.
And just to be clear, you're not diagnosing him. This is from what you are seeing.
This is just what I see on the field, what I see from Sean McVay and his usage of Todd Gurley. There's no reason not to give a man like that with his talent 20 carries a game, but they're not doing it because they're trying to save him. They're trying to keep as much hits and pounds off that knee as possible for the end of the season, because they don't want an instance like last year where he ran out of gas at the end of the year because that knee just had nothing left.
And Joe, your job here is to share your experience, and you've had the same exact thing. That's the most important thing I think you said, because it shares with everybody what he is going through. We can sit on the outside and say why they're not handing him the ball, but you just explained perfectly why they are not handing him the ball. And they are a different football team without Todd Gurley getting the ball in the backfield. This team works off a great run game, and everybody has to come up. Then all of this, what I call bedazzling stuff that Sean McVay designs in his offense can work well. In the Super Bowl, he had 11 touches. Last week, he had 12 touches. All of those games, he lost. They lost without Todd Gurley or without someone that can run the ball in the backfield, run the ball out of the backfield. This Rams offense just is not the same.
When you look at Todd Gurley, you also understand what he is and what he presents and he gives this team. They know when you watch the first 2 games, he wasn't on the field as much. But then now, last week, he was on the field so much because even though you have Brown and Henderson, those guys don't have the Todd Gurley effect. And what Todd Gurley brings is he strikes the fear in the defensive coordinator and the defensive player's mind, because he runs the ball downhill. He finishes with his pass forward. And then also, he can run routes as well. He is the all-around back. But unfortunately, injuries have had a toll on him and doesn't allow him to be the Todd Gurley that we have all fell in love with, who we look at and go, is Todd Gurley getting the ball today? And when he's on the field, they're not giving it to him, and defenses are saying, okay, we've seen this before. We don't fear this Todd Gurley, so you have to make us fear him. Right. So I want to see a team, especially with the rain coming down, no miss. This is a Todd Gurley type of game. Give it to him to the left, Todd Gurley. To the right, Todd Gurley, and up the middle, Todd Gurley, and then also in the pass game.
And start taking defenders away from worrying about Todd Gurley in the run game and start backing them up and playing coverage. And that makes it tough on Jared Goff. And we put a whole lot of pressure on this kid, Jared Goff. Come on, you got the big deal. Let's raise it up. He has to be sitting there saying, I don't have Todd Gurley, and things aren't the same.
Well, this is a passing game that works best when it's built off the run, and you have an offensive line that is graded right now by PFF the worst run blocking line in the entire league. They were the best last year. So all of this goes hand in hand, and I think that's why we're seeing Jared Goff kind of struggle. But like, what are your takeaways when you watch Goff?
We're seeing a lot of this type of offenses in the NFL. This is the popular offense right now where you're running the football, you're running the wide zones, you're getting the play action looks down the field. That's where Jared Goff is the most effective. That's where this offense is the best. But it's like dominoes. When you were kids, you'd set up all those dominoes, and if you take away any one of those dominoes, when you try to push them all over, there's a gap and it doesn't work. So when they're not able to run block, they're not able to effectively run the football, it completely almost negates Jared Goff because defenses are no longer afraid of them running the football. So they're not sucking up onto the line of scrimmage, thinking there's a run. So the play action doesn't work because then there's no separation between the linebackers and the safeties. So they need all those dominoes to be working. That offensive line needs to do a much better job blocking for the run game to set up all the other things that they want to do. Look, they lost 2 interior guys, 2 good players on their offensive line from last year, but the longer they play together, the better they're going to get. But if they want to be good pass blockers, they got to start blocking the run well first because that's what's going to help the play action. That's what's going to give them the deep threats down the field with Jared Goff. That's what makes this a great offense. Without any one of those pieces, they're just average.
That's why I say Cooper Kupp will have a big day because he becomes the short passing game, becomes their running game if Todd Gurley is not doing what he does. And you have to get Cooper Kupp the ball and get it out of Jared Goff's hand.
I can tell you this: some people may not like Jared Goff or believes that he did not deserve the contract that he has. Understand this: Sean McVay has a system, and Jared Goff understands that system. But that system involves all the different players. And part of that player that is missing right now is Todd Gurley. You have to get Todd Gurley involved because that relinquishes a lot of pressure onto Jared Goff. And you know what it also does? It helps those O-line. If you don't help the O-line by running a little bit of stretch inside and outside, throwing some screens, then taking some shots, giving some off balance and off schedule. The only way that the Rams can get back on track with Jared Goff is they take all the tendencies that they know they generally do and do the opposite. Go different compared to what you're used to. If you're going to go take a deep shot, do the screen. If you're going to do a run play or draw, don't do it. Throw this defense off balance because if you don't, you make it more difficult for Jared Goff.
Yeah, and you talk about taking the pressure off of Goff. Goff, according to Next Gen Stats, he's been pressured 64 times. That's the most in the entire league, and that also is part of the reason why he has 9 giveaways and leads the league in giveaways at this point. So there's a lot of things that kind of go into this.
No quarterback is efficient when you have people in your face.
Nope.
Nobody. Tom Brady, Jerry Wright, Joe Montana, it does not matter. You need to block it up and let your quarterback get comfortable because quarterbacks are like linemen. They're little delicate bases.
Well, I was going to say good looking. You always have the best looking
Handle
girlfriends.
with care.
We get the most money.
All right, so
Fragile.
despite their recent struggles, the Rams have been one of the most successful teams since Sean McVay became the head coach. 27 wins since 2017. It's tied for the most in the NFC. In that same span, they've scored more points than any other team in the league. Everyone that's ever met Sean McVay is basically getting a head coaching job. And on the other side of the ball, back-to-back Defensive Player of the Year, Aaron Donald dominates up front on this Rams defense. So the Rams, they seem to be in good hands, presented by Allstate. They just got to bounce back from last week's loss to the Bucs. But Joe, there is Aaron Donald right there on the field.
It's a bad dude, as Michael likes to say. I played against him my rookie season, and unfortunately, I didn't give him enough credit going into that game because he humiliated me. And unlike Jadeveon Clowney, if I asked my man Ted to find out a play where I got beat by this guy, he'd have plenty of those.
And this kid Cooper Kupp here again. I told him last week, I really do believe this. He would have made a huge difference in that Super Bowl. He said, Michael, we're moving forward and looking forward and hoping to get back there, of course. But I believe this guy right here, especially his value is so important, especially with all that we just discussed about Todd Gurley. Look for this man to be.
They might not like it, but I'm going with the Rams in this one. 34-31. Russell Wilson, yes, he's rolling, but these Rams, they need to get going early. They need to keep this defense off balance. They need to mix in some runs and run. Todd Gurley, who you got?
I have the Seahawks 28-25 and Mr. T. me will not be right here.
Oh, how about that? All right.
They are going to win the game.
I know you're probably a little surprised. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, and the Seahawks are going to give the business to the Rams tonight, 17-13. It's going to be a low score because there's going to be a lot of running game going on. It's going to make me real excited. Not a lot of that silly pass from the football.
Hey, I was wondering what you talk about getting the business.
Give them the business.
17-14.
17-14.
This is a tough call because Colleen's been beating us down in here. And I wanted to pick the Rams because I feel they're desperate and want to go. But the Seahawks would never lose back-to-back games at home. I got the Seahawks